Are you ready to learn what red flags keep an eye out for when looking for love?
Then we got you covered. I'm Brianna.
And I'm Alex.
And this is the podcast where we unpack reality TV and call out the bullshit.
So that you show up confidently while dating and in relationships.
Welcome to
Ditch the Script. Oh my God.
I love it.
So tell me, what's going on in your life?
So I was waiting to share this with you for this exact reason, but it felt like an appropriate place to speak on this. But I've just been on my third date with the same person, not third date, my entire life.
Let's clarify. We just need to clarify.
Yeah, let's
really
just
quick.
clarify.
Brianna has
not
had
the third date of my
successful
life.
relationships. This is just a new potential partner.
Yes, new potential partner. And yesterday we went to the dog beach where I borrowed a dog.
So fun. From your parents.
From my parents, thank you.
Also need to clarify that. Did it steal the neighbors? Woo!
But I would. If it meant to like have a dog to hang out with and to go on a date just for the pure, like for research. Everything about dating for me is like all in the name of research. Yeah. But even if it was just to like bring a dog to see how this potential partner like interacts with a dog in the world, that's valuable. But the only thing about the reason why I will not recommend borrowing someone else's dog unless it's a dog that you know and love is because you just can't predict their behaviors, and you got to know that. You got to know that. So this, the reason why I took this dog is like, one, she's a lab, so she has so much energy and she like needs to run. Yes. And two, like again, for this sort of the same reasons I'd mentioned, like I really wanted her to, sorry, I'm getting a,
Amber Alert.
I'm getting a Florida warning. I know. Unfortunately, they have a lot of these out here. Okay. Anyway, so I wanted to see how this person would do out in the world because the last couple of dates that we've had have been
out in the world.
Yeah, I wanted to see how they would do in the world. Well, because every other event was this isolated, like you're sitting across from each other, dinner, a drink or two or whatever, and you're just like getting to know each other, which was starting to feel like feeling a little bored.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to do something, but this person has sort of made it clear that they don't really like games and they don't really like board games or any games of any kind. I was like, ooh, wow, my options are quite limited now. So I was like, the dog beach, that'll be perfect. I have a perfect dog for the dog beach. Let's go.
Thank God he wasn't like, I don't like sand.
And I think he was like bordering there because I could tell he was very uncomfortable with all of. Anyway, so we did it, and he's a very nice guy. Yeah. Super, super nice. 5 stars out of 5 for like respect and genuine nature, intelligence through the roof, like good dude.
Yeah.
However, doesn't like sand, doesn't like games, is really soft-spoken. And like, I can already, it's just not a vibe. The vibes are not there. I can sometimes when I date people, I can sort of tell like from a mile away if my personality is eventually going to be something that they come to resent because I'm a little loud. I'm pretty extroverted. I could be like pretty boisterous. I have a lot of energy. So if that's something that you're not already a little bit enticed by, like, don't get me wrong. Like I can compromise and like bring that energy down. But if you're not already like enticed by that and you're like not matching me, it's just not a match for me.
Yeah.
So I've just been feeling like, gotta go. Yeah.
On to the next one. Thanks for playing. It's all good.
Exactly. Yeah. So next steps are tell him in a way that's because we're also like each other's, I think, first like friend we've met in like Florida, in South Florida.
Move too? Okay.
Yeah. But back in like March, and I don't think that he's like connected with too many people. So
gotcha.
I don't want to like burn that bridge of like, here's the other kicker. We go to the same gym.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So once I knew that, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, you're going to have to handle this like an adult this
A
time.
real adult.
Yeah. I'm trying to learn from like past mistakes. Like, I don't like ghosting. I don't like
No,
how it feels to be ghosted. We talked about that a little bit
on the
at
first
our last
episode.
episode.
Yeah.
Hmm. And it doesn't feel good. And so I got to wrap it up. And my thoughts are just to let him know, like, I am not feeling a romantic connection, but I think that you're really great. And if you're interested in continuing to like stay connected to be friends or to like not be weird when we see each other at the gym,
I'm
then
down.
I'm down. And just like crisp, leave it at that. And I'm not going to love it because it doesn't feel good,
Yeah.
but it's better than the alternative.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. It's back. 100%.
Have you had any experiences in which you ghosted and then in retrospect you've learned what you probably would or should have done instead? Did you ever
Yeah.
ghost?
Oh, yeah. And this is a great story. Oh my God. Okay. So when I was like in a very dark time in my life, and I talk about this
Mm.
a lot on my Instagram. But like obviously when I was looking for love in all the wrong places, down the Bumble rabbit hole of chaos,
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of on the rebound from the most toxic person I ever dated in my life. And so,
Mm-hmm.
you know the saying, get over one man, get under another.
Mm-hmm.
So I found a very nice gent who, I don't recommend doing this, but showed up at my doorstep in the middle of the night. First time I ever met him. Don't do this, ladies. Okay, I'm very lucky that he wasn't an axe murderer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but anyway, that guy, super sweet, ended up being a very gentle soul. And we stayed in contact on and off, purely for rebound purposes. But then he started FaceTiming me and crossing that boundary. And then I started just not answering his FaceTimes because it was too much for me. And I was, like I said, when we're going through stuff, we don't show up genuinely, right? We can't. And for me, I was very much like, any potential healthy connection I wasn't ready for because of the stuff that I was going through. So the way I handled this guy trying to pursue me was to ghost him. I couldn't handle it. Now here's the funny
Yeah.
thing is months later, I again still very much doing the inner work, and at this point I was like at a better place, but I felt
Mm.
so guilty for ghosting him that I actually reached back out and
Mm.
apologized. I was like, hey,
Mm.
back in October, which was like months, like this must have been February that I did this. Like it was a while.
Wow.
And I said, I'm really sorry. You didn't deserve that. Please forgive me. I was just going through some stuff and I didn't have the words to say to let you down kindly. And that was the way I handled it. And it's not right. My bad.
Did
I
you
hope
get a
you can forgive me.
response?
Didn't get a response at
How
all.
did you
And I don't,
wait? How did you feel about that when you didn't get a response?
I didn't blame him. Like, honestly, I really didn't because,
Yeah.
I did it for me. And I think that's another thing we need to understand is forgiveness is just as much for ourselves as it is for another person. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And so me asking for
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness was also the way of me forgiving myself in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when we refuse to forgive someone out of our own spite, or negative energies, we honestly create our own version of hell on earth, because of the amount
Right.
of negative energy that's attached to that. So anyway,
Right.
I was very thrilled to and I felt so much lighter, like being able to send that text and just move on with my life, kind of clean my hands of it. And I never ghosted again, ever, because I felt
One
so
and done.
shitty. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
that's when I
it's something
crafted
that's
that text that I was saying last episode.
well, and I think that experience alone and knowing that like, okay, this is doable to be able to just say, well, first of all, the experience of having to say, I really apologize for doing that. And I hope that you're able to forgive me and I wasn't in a good place. That alone is enough reason to say, you know what, let me not ghost again so I never have to, one, feel that way again, or two, have to send the months later overdue apology text. Because
So true.
that doesn't feel good. You really just are like delaying the process. I mean, a good rule of thumb here is to like resolve some of these dynamics. If they're missed connections or connections that went awry, handle it the way that you'd want it to be handled with for you. And that's what you sort of did there. And it took you this space to be in a different place where you're able to like objectively sort of check in with yourself and see how your behaviors had gone on for the last however long and say, okay, I've learned from this, and this is a period of growth for me. So while you did do that for you and not necessarily for this person, which is why I sort of appreciate that they didn't have to answer, because maybe they even recognized, they were like, Alex is doing this for her, not for me. And I'm bowing out. And you know what? Kudos. Like sometimes that's what we get to choose, if we want to participate in that or not.
True. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So
you did the thing that
I don't wish him any ill will, and it happened for a reason, and I learned a lot from that. And part of, for me on my healing journey in that time, it was kind of closing up the loose ends that I had left loose, so yeah, all good in the end.
Yeah.
So let's talk about our Bachelorette.
Our upcoming Bachelorette series.
Yeah.
We have a new season starting. It airs Tuesday, October 19th. I got that right?
Yeah.
It's airing Tuesday, October 19th. It's a Tuesday. We'll be watching it the next day.
And recording an episode to keep you guys up to date on all of our thoughts, opinions, and things that we spot.
Yeah, our personal opinions and our professional opinions. So it's educated insight.
I'm stoked.
Is what we're providing.
I really liked Michelle on Matt's season. I thought she was a gem. Like, really. She was a cool chick. She had a good head on her shoulders. So I'm interested to see how she does the bacheloretting. I really am.
Yeah, I'm curious too. I have a good feeling that she's going to be a very good bachelorette. Yeah. I think that she'll be able to handle, she just like carries herself with a lot of poise and grace.
Agreed.
I wanted to ask you though, let me ask you a different question. If you were able to provide a little bit of counsel to Michelle during her experience on Matt's season, what do you think you would have shed light on or shared with her?
I don't know. I feel like she did such a great job. Yeah, I don't know. I would need to rewatch it, honestly, in order to see if there was any room for her to improve. But from what I can remember of the season, like Jordan and I were rooting for her. She was top 2 for us, like for sure. We liked her so much. And I think what really sets her apart is her authenticity and her comfortability with stating what she wants from the relationship that she's going after. I think a lot of women struggle with that, especially on this show, because the competition, it becomes a competition, instead of it being like, oh, this is a marriage and I need to choose this person just as much as they need to choose me. It becomes, I want a rose. I need to get the rose. And so I don't feel like she struggled with that so much. I think she was very present and able to say, like, I need to choose Matt just as much as Matt needs to choose me and qualify him into my life. And so I think if she can keep that same mentality with guys in front of her and not let the title go to her head, and get swept up in the process too much, and just, remain present, take the guys that are in front of you for what they are and how they present themselves. I think paying attention to the way the men interact is a huge revelation of character. I think that regardless of gender, like, how people treat others, how people treat others, no matter who they are, is such a reflection of their true moral character. So if she can keep going the way she's been going, I think she will end up at the end of this really happy with a fiance.
Yeah. I think that's a really good prediction of how she's going to carry herself. She had full faith in her interactions with Matt. Like, she was really very focused on the time that she spent with him. And to me, I almost felt like to a fault in some areas towards the end, because I was just like, girl, there are connections, but I can't fault her for this because she's not seeing the way that he's connecting with these other women, especially once you get to the end. Right. But I was just like, I don't know. He really, really likes Rachel. Yeah. I don't know what we're going to do about that, girl. But yeah, I agree. I liked her from the start. I think that I was surprised at how quickly they connected. She was surprised at how quickly that they connected. Yeah. She came in really late. She was, which I don't really want them to do that.
Dude, I will say it's been fascinating to watch the franchise change over the last couple years because, like, the way it's running now is not how it ran when I started watching with Sean Lowe's season. Like, Sean Lowe's season was very, if I'm remembering correctly, it was the stereotype of the show. You get 30 chicks come out of a limo, you give them roses, you send other ones home, and then you propose to one at the end. But, like, I feel like since Desiree's season thereafter, they, like, bring on new people in the middle of the season. Like they did with Matt, where they brought in this extra group, or similar to Katie's season, they bring on one person who's been pining after them, or somehow they have a connection. Which makes me wonder. I wonder if I mean, not that I think this would be a good match for her, but Connor's a school teacher too. The guy who was in the cat suit for Katie's season. And so I just sometimes I wonder if they would do something like, "Oh, you both are school teachers. Go on this season." I hope.
Was he on Paradise?
He was. I love Connor.
What happened to him there?
He was with Marissa at the beginning for a little bit, and then Marissa left him for Riley, which her and Riley are an adorable couple. So Connor ended up going home because the thing with Bachelor in Paradise is for those of you who don't watch the show, is you gotta couple up in order to stay on the actual island. Otherwise, you're gone. So Connor took it with grace. And you want to know what's so revealing about Connor? Again, Jordan and I adore this guy. His true character shines every time he gets dumped. That man just, like, takes it with so much grace. He did with Katie, he did with Marissa,
Yeah, he really did.
And that, like, it just shows his emotional maturity. Like, for him to be able to be comforting and empathetic to someone who's dumping him in that moment is huge.
Shows a lot of maturity.
So much maturity. So Connor, I wish you well, dude.
I know. I hope that he's happy somewhere. He's on tour he's like singing on stage.
Oh, that's super dope. So, go, Catman, go.
So even if he hasn't, I know. Even if he hasn't met his match, he is making that coin.
Yeah, I agree.
He's making that money, and so he will find love. Love will find him.
Yeah, I'm not worried.
That's the thing that I have to remember. I have to remember that when these people go through, like, major heartbreak televised like this, I'm, like, so mortified for them. And then I realize that they are televised and that they're going to go home and people are now going to find them at their local bars and, like, try to buy them drinks.
Yes,
so they're going to be all, especially these men. So they're going to be all right. I am not worried about them.
Yes, get it.
So that's a little teaser about what we have coming up.
So Bree, I'm, like, really excited to dish a little bit of our past. It's like the Days of Our Lives, Alex and Bree version, because I feel like the summers we lived together were some of the craziest, most courageous times of my life, honestly.
Big periods of growth, and I do think I would be remiss as a clinician to not highlight the, like, specific age that we were at during this time and its relevance to it, because one, yes, like we sort of mentioned last episode, we were, like, divinely connected. Like, our energies really matched each other. We really, like, helped each other out in different ways, pretty effortlessly. Like, we just got on. But the age that we were at, so we met when we were, like, 12 and 13, 11 and 12.
I was 11.
Okay. Yeah. And I was also 11. I was probably about to turn 12 in a couple of months. So we were this, like, adolescent age where we had, we're sort of starting to come into our own identities, but don't have so much awareness of what those identities are. Yeah. And we're taking a lot more risks physically, and our hormones are initiated.
Boy, crazy.
And then, like, matched with, like, years of my energy, like, it was just like a jetpack rocket fuel of fun. And so, for context, because obviously there's a lot of people who don't know, like, the, like, living arrangement that we had, but we used to stay at your parents' house, who very, very kind parents, were responsible in making sure that we were physically safe, but
Yes.
didn't have a whole lot of oversight
No,
on
they
our
weren't
day to
around.
day.
We were kind of let loose.
We were kind of let loose, and luckily I had the imaginary fear of my parents hovering over me always, even though they were nowhere to be found because they lived
They
in
were
New
in a
Jersey and we
different
were in
state.
Florida. They were in a different state, and they were fully trusting these new people that they did
that
not.
they didn't know.
My mom was like, "How was I okay with that?" And I was like,
You didn't
"I."
know about it.
And I told her, I said, "You trusted Alex. Like you are good." But especially when we were kids, you were like just a good natured, responsible kid who wouldn't trust you. Like, so she was just like, "Oh, this is gonna be fine. Alex is great. Brianna's gonna be fine." My grandpa was close by, so like
Right.
if
Worst
anything was
case,
gonna,
Grandpa
but he
Abe
was
to the
probably gonna
rescue.
Grandpa Abe to the rescue. But like if he was gonna come, he was destined to stop at Costco on the way. So
So true.
you couldn't expect him to get there fast. You could just expect him to show up eventually. And he would be like, "Yeah, I just had to get this rotisserie chicken at Costco." And it's like, did you have to? Emphasis on the words have to. So this is young. And then so we spent every summer together until we were about 15, 14, 15, 15, 16.
So
We
it's
were
like 4 or 5 summers.
yeah, and we were, like I said, high energy, high risk taking, low supervision, and
Very low
hormones,
supervision.
like off the charts. So
Yeah.
that leads us to a lot of our like first experiences with like dating.
Oh my god, this is gonna
You
be
know?
so fun. Whoever's listening, buckle the fuck up, because it's gonna get lit.
Yeah. I think that so by the time that I had met you, you were already like a very organically flirtatious person. And I loved the shit out of that. I was like, this girl is carrying this energy effortlessly. At least that's how you made it seem that I was like trying to soak up, right? So at this time, I had probably only had one other experience with my cousin Ariel in her hometown in California,
Mm-hmm.
while I was there for like her bat mitzvah, where she was like, you know, instant messaging on AIM a boy in
Oh
her
my
town
god.
for me.
Classic.
You know, that was like, yeah, that was the first experience that I had. And then I joined you and your youth group.
Oh Jesus, literally.
Which, again, if you don't know us very well, I'm Jewish, like real Jewish.
And I no longer go to church.
You no longer go to church, but at this time you were.
Twice a week, baby.
You want to tell people your religious upbringing, just categorically at least?
Yeah, so I grew up fundamentalist, evangelical. So we went to church twice a week. Wednesday nights was youth group, and then Sundays was I was there all day Sundays because both of my parents were in the church orchestra band, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So we were there early before church started, and then late till church wrapped up. And yeah, so that was my life, like all the time.
And I also want to insert that you've never met two adolescents who got into the deepest, most like mutually respectful chats about religion than the two of us. We used to sit in your mom's bathtub.
Oh my
with
god,
bubbles.
I forgot about that. The big jet one. And we would make way too many bubbles.
We made lots of bubbles, and we shared one singular wine cooler. And we
were 11.
And we were 11. We were 11. We knew that sharing one was our limit, so that's good for us. But we were like
responsible drinkers from the get-go.
Yeah, we were like, it's bubble time. So, but I remember we were sitting in the bathtub with bubbles and aforementioned wine cooler, and we were chatting about religion and being really like honest about where we both came from and our both like belief systems. But again, with like total respect for each other, because we never like met in the middle. You were like, me and Jesus are homies for life. And I said, we're not. And
Maccabees,
and these are
baby.
Yeah. And I was like still in the throes of like my own like Jewish education at the time. So I had a lot more insight about it then than I do now. But I just remember feeling really safe having those conversations. But you also, like, you loved youth group, like you really loved that community. And so you were really excited for me to join you, and not for the purpose of me like immersing into the like subject matter. You were just excited for me to like meet these important people in your life and like be part of this thing in your week, in your life, that like you really were excited about.
Yeah.
And I loved that because I wanted to do it too. And also you were like, youth group is also where I pray, but it's also where I get my flirt on.
Yeah.
And so
where I
was
prey
like,
on boys.
She was not a predator. I can be very clear about that. But you were like queen of absolute sass. And also, you're like, how tall were you at this time? You were tall.
I know. I feel like I've been 5'9" since 7th grade. I really
Yeah,
do.
you were like, when we met was like just before you like hit that final growth spurt. And then the next time I saw you and we started doing youth, because that first summer we didn't actually stay with each other. I stayed with my grandpa full time.
Right.
So the next year was when we stayed together. You had grown. I don't know what was happening for me. I hadn't hit puberty. I wasn't there yet.
You had your back brace on. Remember, I would put your back brace on every night, and then I broke it. Do you remember when I broke your back brace?
Yeah. Okay. This is probably important. So again, for context, Alex Keever is the Alex Scott as you come to know her and love her. She was 5'9", gorgeous, tall, like slender, all of the things that we were pining for in the beauty ideal at the time. And you were like just flirting around, taking names, you know, never doing anything crazy. You were just like taking names. And then me, short, probably like 5'0", petite back brace that I had to wear for 16 hours of every single day. And there is a list, a small list, but there is a list of really reliable, loving friends in my life who have helped me strap on that back brace day after day after day. My mom is included on that list, but you were one of them. And I was so grateful to you. I had gnarly scoliosis, which we did get sorted. Thank you. Congrats. To the back brace. And yeah, and then you broke it, but we got it home. We got it fixed. It was sorted. No biggie.
I don't remember what happened after that. I just remember going to, I remember this vividly. I was strapping you in because it had those little, like, you had to loop the Velcro in and then like pull it back around the metal thing. And I didn't, it swiveled. It's kind of hard to describe, but long story short, I just ripped that thing off. Like I went to go Velcro
because
in and
you were strong. You're a strong lass.
I love how that's how you read it. I'm like, I felt so bad. I just remember feeling so bad. Like, oh my God, this woman's going to be crippled for life.
Oh my God, no. And I was like, please free me from this cage.
Yeah, you were like, great, I don't have to wear it. Like, you really did not care. And I was over there like, oh my God.
No, I was totally fine. But you were very supportive and it was very sweet. But that's like, I don't think that I had too much like hangups about the fact that I had to wear that back brace. I think that I just accepted that was a part of my life. But I know that I didn't have like the flirtatious. I don't know that I felt like I was anything to pine after. So my confidence was definitely lacking there. Do you remember anything about like your confidence as like a young whipping, little girl?
This is why I love having these conversations with you, because the way we perceived each other is the complete opposite. Like,
so different.
I perceived you as having like confidence. You'll talk about anything, and like you talk to adults so confidently and like, this is who I am, whatever. And I don't remember feeling confident. I remember wanting a boyfriend. I do that. I was looking for love in all the wrong places already at age 11, so it's not a surprise to me that now at 29 I'm helping women to not do what I've done, because I've made
totally
a lot of mistakes. But yeah, like I remember just thinking that when I had a boyfriend things would be better, and I was really young when I started going down that road. So was it confidence? if it was a fake it till you make it confidence.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you move, especially as like a young kid, you're pining after boys, because you're like looking to feel validated, right?
Yeah.
And from whatever reason you're seeking validation for, you're like looking for it in the people around you. And at that time, it was just like the time of our like development to like really kick that off. So I feel like you'll remember this boy's name, but maybe we should leave it out anyway. There was a
Oh,
boy.
I remember because I told Jordan.
You did when
Yeah.
I wrote about this.
Yeah. They were best friends.
You could say it because I want to know, but I want you to bleep it out, and then you could bleep it out. But what's his name?
And
Oh my God, yeah. And they were best friends, and we were best friends.
yeah.
And
And I was already like establishing a thing with, but
mhm.
yeah, and so I was like, okay, my best friend's in town, so like I'll be with you and you got to hook your best friend up with my best friend.
And was
Hey,
cute.
he was down. They're Brazilian, you know. Come
Yeah.
on. Come on,
They
ladies.
he was
Brazilian boys.
he was so cute, and he was like so much game packed in those two young lads.
Yeah.
So much game. They were like we would message them on AIM. That's
Yes.
where we were like taking all of our business chats.
Yeah.
And we would make plans for, because we wouldn't spend time together on the weekend. So we had to make, if we were going to see them, we had to make plans during the week.
Yep.
So we were going.
Particularly on youth group nights. Yeah.
Wow.
But I just remember setting it all up. I really do. Like I remember like scheming with him on like, look, you and I are a thing, but like my best friend's here and she can't, like, your best friend is single, so hook it up.
Yeah, I did nothing but show up, and I really appreciate you for that. But it taught me a
Shoot,
lot.
girl.
It was like, oh, this is how you trap your crush on the internet. And this is how you follow through with plans, because it scared the shit out of me. It absolutely scared the shit out of me meeting up with them. Yeah, because it was like I really wanted to like spend time with my crush, but it was like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? I don't know what I'm doing. It was all of those, like, it was that time of our lives where it was like first for everything. So while I did mention that we had wine coolers that one time,
Yeah.
that was not our first time like really drinking. I guess this other time that I'm about to mention, we weren't really drinking, but it was like, it was that 4th of July.
Oh my God. This party.
The slushies.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, this family, that this whole situation we're about to describe is like one of my favorite memories of my entire life. Like I love telling this story to anybody and everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I felt like we were on an MTV episode of like The Real World or something. Like I felt so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It felt very daring and very adult, and sort of like, when's someone gonna catch us? Anyway, there was it was 4th of July.
Yeah.
We were at your house and things were chill there, but there was a party a couple houses down the street.
Mm-hmm.
And we could hear it. You knew your neighbors.
Yeah.
And they knew you, obviously. Mm-hmm. And they knew you. So it was sort of like, it was not a big deal for you to be like, yeah, we'll just go over and pop over. And again, like, where were your parents?
I don't know. Now that we're talking about it, I don't even remember how we ate, like breakfast or dinner or lunch. Like I really don't, because we didn't have like family meals.
We had those weird smoothies for breakfast. You remember that?
I don't even remember. No, I don't.
Remember?
But back to our really cool story. Not quite sure, but yeah, we were looking for something to do on July 4th because it was the one day out of the summer intensive that we didn't have to go to dance class, right? Like let's just pump the brakes here. Our summer intensive was from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday to Saturday, 6 days a week. So
really put the intense in intensive.
Yeah. But anyway, so when it was the one day that we got off over the summer, And so you and I were like, we need to do something, you know? And this party would go on that this family would have every year. It was crazy. Like they paid, I heard a rumor once that it was like 5 or 7 grand on the amount of fireworks that they got for their house parties. And they also, I lived on a canal, so like my backyard had a dock, and they were on the same side of the street as me, so they also had a backyard that had a dock. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because they would have a little canoe boat that they would like row across to the other side where that seawall was, and they would post up like Osama bin Laden posters and then blow them up like it was during that war. So they were like, oh, you know, propaganda to its finest.
Sure.
So anyway, Bree and I are
I don't remember that, but that is.
Oh yeah.
I remember everyone in that family had a shaved mohawk.
Oh my God. That's what I don't remember that part.
I remember it being very like. I know. It was all very extra. It was all very, very extra. I did not remember the blowing up of war propaganda, but that tracks.
Oh yeah. So there was stuff blowing up. There was so many people there. Like the doors were basically open, and their pool was like kind of by the front area. So like you could just walk into the pool area. But anyway, that's basically what Bree and I did. We went down there. We made friends with their kids. There was a lack of adult supervision. So we totally went over to those pre-made drinks and just were like, out of the dispenser, I'll take one.
Oh, yeah. And we had several. And next thing you know, cut to, we are singing Sublime songs and having an absolute blast. And we're also hanging out with kids that are like a little bit older than us. So we were feeling accepted and very much like imposter syndrome, because neither you or I ever felt that we were cool. We just were faking it till you make it, as you mentioned. So like we were feeling like, I feel like you and I would steal glances at each other and just sort of be like, they still think that we're cool enough to hang out with them. We're going to keep this rolling. And then, one of your parents had to have been home because we were being very stealthy about our next move.
Yes, it was my dad, because I don't know if you remember this. So guys, here's what happened. These kids that Bree and I were trying to like hang with were like, hey, we have this tradition every year, but you need a bathing suit. And I was like, or Bree and I did not have bathing suits on at the time. And we were like, oh, well, okay, yeah, like we'll run down to my house really quick. It was literally 3 blocks away, you know, and throw on a suit and we'll come back. But I remember that as we were walking back, I can't remember I think it was as we were walking back towards my house, my dad was driving down the block in his car, which we recognized, thankfully, with enough time that we literally hid behind a bush. Hid behind a bush. I remember this being like, oh my God. And then we finally made it to the house. We threw on our stuff and then got back to the party as quick as possible. But we very much hid behind a bush. We were those people.
Yes, we did. And we got away with it as well. And then we jumped in the canal, which was gross. Wait.
No, you gotta back up. You have to tell the whole story.
Okay. I don't know if I remember all of the details. You might remember it better.
Okay.
Lay it on us.
So we get back to the house and everyone is holding a floaty. And so we're standing there in our bathing suits and they're giving us floaties and we're like, what do we need these for? And they're like starting to walk down the street back towards my house. And I'm like, what are we doing? We're all holding, like, your pool's right there. What's going on? And he was like, oh yeah, no, every year we do this tradition where we pick a random house on this block and we run through their backyard and jump into the canal with our floaties. And you and I were like, okay. And I remember on the outside trying to act like I was okay with this, but internally I was like, I'm going to go to prison. This is it. I'm committing a felony. Like I was freaking out thinking that,
to be fair, we were about to trespass, which is illegal.
Yeah.
And I probably was like, girl, it's now or never. We're doing this now or we're never doing this. And then we have to be those lamos that said no to it, which also, brief pause. If there's something that you're not comfortable with, no matter what age, say no. That's okay. Live your truth. This time I was peer pressuring her And luckily we got away with it, but it could have been bad. And that's luckily.
It's one of the best memories of my life. So I remember we picked like this really ugly, creepy house, and we just like, I remember holding on our floaties and just sprinting through, screaming because that was like, it was a stress response. We were screaming more out of like, let me let this internal adrenaline out than like, oh my God, roller coaster scream, you know?
Yeah.
And we jump into the canal, and I want to hear what you remember, because I remember jumping into the canal and my pushing off the bottom of the canal to get back up to the top, because I went all the way in. Like, people jumped onto their floaties. I wasn't that smart. I jumped in and then like went back up, pushed back up, and then got onto my floaty. But girl, the bottom of that canal was like
disgusting.
I vividly remember my right foot like pushing into the sludge, just like algae, wet, soft, gooey, slimy sludge.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also remember nursing some sort of injury afterwards for one of us, but I don't remember who was injured. One of us was bleeding. I think it could have been me. I don't. But remember. we basically like we got in and we only floated for like a couple hundred yards. Yeah. And then we were at the other house.
Really fun.
It was sort of a thing that we felt like, okay, we were glad that we got away with that. We needed to do that we did it more for each other than we did it for, I don't even remember all of these other people in this group that we were with. I just remember you and me being like, we're going to be brave. And then we were brave. Brave we were. And then honestly, we didn't even hang out at the party much longer after that, because I feel like we were like, you know what? We came here to do what we did, and we did it. So let's go home. Yeah.
Irish.
We were like, let's get out of here.
Yeah. I do remember jumping in their pool. Like, I remember we got out, like we climbed up the dock, got out, and then immediately jumped in the pool to rinse off, is what they said. And I do remember jumping in the pool, and I always opened my eyes underwater, like in pool water. So I remember doing that and witnessing a cloud of dirt sludge come off of my body.
It was disgusting. And it was nighttime.
I'm surprised your cut didn't give you like gangrene or something gnarly.
Me too. Me too. I definitely remember that there was blood involved, and then we were sort of just like, all right, we're going to sing one more Sublime song. And then we karaoke'd that all the way home, and we sang Sublime for like the next week.
I still love them. They're great.
Yeah, me too. It was wonderful. I have to take a quick pause because I'm going to pee my pants.
Okay, go pee.
So,
all right.
Last episode, we were recalling actually, Kiever. I should probably give a statement on why I call you what I call you, because I call you Kiever, and sometimes I call you Alex, but I do that out of respect for your profession, but I call you Kiever because it's your last name, but okay, so
unique last name.
You are Kiever, you are my Kiever. Kiever is you in my life. Your professional name is the Alex Scott, and that's all I have to say about that. So if you hear me refer to you as Kiever, if anyone's listening and you hear that, this is who I'm talking about. This is who I'm talking about. It's you. Okay, so you were recalling a memory that you had, which I don't remember at all. You had said that I had mentioned to your mom that very casually that you can use KY jelly as shave gel, and like, never mind running out of your favorite shave gel because KY jelly was always an option, which is a fact that I never knew I shared. So we wanted to check on the validity of that, since I was certain that I had made that up and was just being like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And we found.
I tried it, guys. I went and bought some KY, which, by the way, they've recently rebranded because their new packaging is great.
Go for them.
And they have so many like there's a cornucopia of options now. It's like KY jelly, KY liquid, KY this. But because we said specifically KY jelly, that is the one I went with.
Yeah.
And I shaved all my bits. I did tits, bikini line, and legs with it.
You shaved all your bits. Okay, wait. Okay. And, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. Listen, you guys, she did this in the name of research for you.
Did for you. Okay, so I was actually surprisingly shocked. I was surprised to find out that it is a really great smooth shave. I will say this, it does gunk up my razor, so like you have to kind of like be really good about cleaning your razor in between shaving.
Like how do you clean a razor?
I use my thumb in a very particular way because I have cut myself doing this before, but like I always just brush down on the blades to like help. Yeah.
The way that the way that the blades are like slated.
Yeah. So I don't cut myself, and please, I feel like I need to give some kind of disclaimer, like don't do this. I don't know. Don't hurt
if you're
yourself,
a child. Please. Don't do this if you're a child.
Anyway, so yeah, like it's one of those disclaimers, like don't do unless, professional supervision or something. But anyway, I had to do that quite a bit. And then I will say getting out of the shower, like I had to put on a lot of lotion, and I feel like I might need to double dose my lotion. Like my legs feel really smooth, but they feel a little dry. However, with that being said, I also live in a desert. So what is the true cause of that? We don't know if it's the KY or if it's the desert air. So, guys, KY jelly, it does work. It doesn't smell as nice as other shave creams or soap options. I will say that, obviously. It definitely smells like KY. But yeah, it freaking works. I was really surprised. I thought it was going to be a hot mess, but no. Went on, washed off real easy, wasn't like a pain in the ass to deal with. And
how about
my legs are silky smooth.
You mentioned dryness, which again, we have yet to eliminate the external factors of that to really prove its validity. But I'm curious about more sensitive areas. So like bikini line. Razor burn is a thing that I am susceptible to. So,
well, I don't have any right now.
That's wonderful. Is it something that you typically suffer from?
No. And if we want to be really, but here's the deal. Okay, let me back up. We're going to talk about pubes. Okay, people, we're going to talk about
pubes. We're going to talk about pubes.
So, obviously being a dancer, I was like bare for very long, full wax, whatever. And then over quarantine, my partner and I thought it would be fun to like play with other types of, pubic hair type things. So I had a landing strip for a while, and now I'm like full on bush, and I love it. And he loves it.
Kudos.
So it's very trimmed and it's manicured, but my point in bringing this up is I don't need to, since I'm not shaving as much or waxing as much, the razor burn and all of that irritation is like rare for me to ever have. So that's why I felt the need to like say that disclaimer is like, as well, no, I don't have any razor burn right now. Not sure if that's because the KY jelly is a fabulous product to avoid razor burn. Which, if so, they should totally put that
market as such. Yeah,
this is like a whole nother thing for them.
Razor burn is a big issue for me. So it's like, that would matter. That would influence my buy.
Yeah, I also. Do you use Ten Skin at all for your razor burn?
What is that? A snake?
Okay. We'll have Ten Skin, TEND.
Oh, Tend.
It's like an aftershave. Yeah, it's an aftershave that I've used when I was, doing my landing strip thing or whatever. And that really helped me. It wasn't a cure-all, but it definitely helped. So
I get waxed.
Throwing products out there.
Yeah, I know. Where's our free? We need someone to sponsor this. I just get waxed because it's uncomfortable. So I'll get waxed every 4 weeks. But honestly, I'm considering getting laser at some point.
I love laser. I've done it. Fuck yeah, do it.
Yeah, it's sort of my next move. I got to break down the finances of such, but Yeah, I think I'm going to be on my laser shit. Okay, cool. So we followed up on our KY jelly experience. We've learned that and also the internet agrees with you. The internet says that this is a safe product to use in lieu of shave gel or soap for your shaving needs. There are some people that would say they wouldn't recommend you, like, for anyone shaving facial hair to use it.
Oh,
but no. Yeah, I just think because it's like the contours of your face are just real specific. But I don't have facial hair I'm looking to shave, so I can't test it out for anyone.
Jordan does.
Great. This is what Jordan signed on for when we agreed to do this. He said, I'm part of any and all research experiments. Yeah, right, exactly.
Okay, so for this last part, I definitely stole some questions from my TikTok. So just a reminder here, if anyone wants to submit a question, you can go to ditchthescriptpod.com and submit your question. And we'll answer it anonymously for you. If you'd like, just let us know in the message. But anyway, question from a TikToker. And it says, can a toxic relationship become a healthy relationship through effort and commitment? Brianna, what are your thoughts?
Yes. Short answer is yes. But it requires both parties to recognize the toxic patterns to then identify the necessary work that both parties need to do. If both people aren't committed to recognizing the toxic patterns and their like responsibility in that, it's not going to happen.
Yep. Completely agree. Like, couldn't have said it better. I think a lot of times I get this question with people thinking that they can change or motivate their partner to do the work with them. And the reality is you can't. It needs to come from within them. And so, yeah, there's no amount of us loving a person that will convince them to do better, right? They need to find that for themselves. So, yep, it's absolutely possible. And as Brie said, as long as both people are committed to implementing new healthy dynamics to the relationship,
the time that this really doesn't work is when one of those parties is choosing to agree to the repair work that we've just mentioned as a way to manipulate. And I'm thinking specifically if you're in a relationship with someone who's a narcissist or a sociopath, which too many people don't actually believe the validity of those identities in real practice, but it exists.
They're true.
And
they're out there.
They're out there, and it's not like the loosey-goosey, like I'm just obsessed with myself way that you think about narcissists. Like, no, people truly using opportunities for their own benefit for their own self-serving purposes, and recognizing those weaknesses. So a narcissist or a sociopath in this setting might recognize, I need to be agreeable to the work, and therefore I'm going to, quote, show up and do this work. But all the while, it's just keeping this person in their line of toxic nature for however long that other person wises up and decides that they need to go.
Yeah. And that'll happen quickly. I just want to point out, like, if that is the case, like, actions always speak louder than words. And so within a certain amount of time, like, that will be revealed, and it's up to you to see that, not justify it, and take new action from there. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's right.
All right, girl. Well, this was great. I'll see you on the next one.
I'll see you on the next one, which will be probably our first Bachelorette season episode.
Yeah, on the next one, we'll be unpacking that first episode of Michelle's Bachelorette season. It's going to be juicy. I'm super freaking stoked. I've been staying away from spoilers, so
I love that.
We're gonna do it.
I'm so excited. Okay.
Me too.
See you on the next one.